The other thing too I want to address just as a moment, but you said in this play that you thought Andrew Wyeth was technically a better painter than Hopper,
Yeah.
because but just expound on that a bit.
Well, no doubt about it. I mean, Hopper's characters are Hopper's paintings overall are closer to illustrations. Not that he's truly an illustrator, but you don't get. I mean, you have those zombie-like black eyes, the characters don't have that. They're generally striking, mostly affected poses. There might be a woman in a theater and she has her arm held back one way, or there's someone looking out a window as if they're mesmerized by something. Whereas with Andrew Wyeth, it's just more. It's more real in your face. And Wyeth is much closer, for example, to Johannes Vermeer. He's sort of the modern Vermeer, the modern American Vermeer, when it comes to doing some of the paintings where there might be a character in the background, or a character has just left the scene, and we see the remains of human endeavor of some sort.
Mm. Yeah, I think that Hopper has probably gives uh, his audience more of a visceral feeling though, because he uses broader strokes. He's very identifiable. I remember you talked about how Van Gogh versus various other painters were he was inferior in that comparison. But I thought that it was interesting that you posited Wyeth as a better painter than Hopper. I mean, I would say technically, certainly, he had more range as well. Hopper sort of reminds me more of Antonioni as in terms of his paintings. He does have some affected uh, poses, but stuff like Nighthawks has I don't feel it has those effects. So what do you discuss about that? Do you think that Hopper is a great painter overall, though?
Oh yeah, I think he is a great painter. Uh, but there is, as I said, a certain effectiveness. Not that that's a bad thing. Wyeth is just, I think, simply better in all ways. You can be a great painter, but or great anything, and there's someone who's just a notch or two better than you in everything. Uh, Wyeth had better hand-eye coordination. He had more, I think, to be able to have unique scenes in his hundreds of paintings, and there are probably as many in both of them. But Hopper is more like the Twilight Zone. A lot of his scenes, whereas Wyeth's are more like the real world. But there's just something a little bit off, and what is off is not necessarily something supernatural or something seemingly demonic, the way some of these black-eyed human figures are in uh, Hopper, but there's something just not quite right. Christina's World is his most famous painting, and there we don't see the woman's face. We just see her skinny arms, and we can get inside that character without seeing even her just the posing of her body and the situation she's in. Whereas with Hopper, you're going after you have seen a handful, 5, 10 Hopper paintings, you sort of get Hopper. And it's the same thing with someone like Magritte. Magritte is a great painter, but you sort of get Magritte. Dali is a little bit is better. He's Dali is to Magritte. Salvador Dali is to Rene Magritte as Andrew Wyeth is to Edward Hopper. There are similarities in broad strokes, but there's one of the painters, Dali and Wyeth in this case, is just a little bit better in every facet, ideationally, uh, hand-eye coordination, execution, originality, etc.
Mhm. I think you mentioned Dolly too, just as a tangent, was probably the best user of titles in paintings. I
Yeah.
would have to say that I agree with that assertion too, because he had these very unique titles that sort of summed up his paintings, or sometimes went slant to them. And I thought that was an interesting point.